I'll be the first to admit that I am a sucker for cute notebooks, but also when the accessories coordinate with the notebook. And I got this darling notebook from Rifle Paper Co. from their new line. It's called Dahlia. And they sent me some fabric to play around with. And so I love my notebooks, but I always have things that I want when I'm using my notebooks, like my pens and my AirPods. And I always need my chapstick, and who doesn't want chocolate? So I made this adorable pencil pouch that you can attach to your journal, notebook, whatever, so that it is always together and everything you need is right inside. You don't have all these things that you're dropping, trying to carry multiple things at once, things you forgot, wish you had. You just tuck it in your bag and you're ready to go. So today I am gonna show you exactly how I made this darling pouch. It's got a zipper on the front. It holds all kinds of things inside. It's pretty on the front, on the back. We use elastic to attach it to our notebook, and we're gonna go make this. And oh, we can't forget the cute little rick-rack that I added to this. It was so much fun and so simple to do. Let's go make this, and I'm gonna take you through step by step. So get your notebook ready. These are gonna be your new favorite thing because they also make great gifts. Cut your fabric according to the size chart that was just on the previous screen. I'm using a mix of prints here. I've got this really pretty Dahlia print, and then I'm going to use a coordinating print for the inside. These are all by Rifle Paper Co. And the line is called Dahlia. Such a pretty line of fabric. Now, once you get all your pieces cut, I'm going to use this double-sided tape. It's by Annie's, and it is a great double-sided adhesive that you can sew through and it doesn't gum up your needle. So I'm going to apply rickrack to this edge. So I want to use the double-sided tape to make sure it stays nice and straight. You do not have to do this step if you don't want to. You can totally skip it if you don't want to add the rickrack. You don't need the tape otherwise. So if you don't want to do this step, just fast forward to the next one. But go ahead and add the tape, and then I'm just going to simply lay my rickrack down right over that tape. It just helps it keep it nice and straight and along that edge when you're sewing it. And don't worry about the parts of the tape that are visible and not under the rickrack. It's going to get covered up anyway by our fabric. So lay that there. And then we're going to put our trim piece. This is the 8" by 1" piece, and we're going to lay that across that top edge. And that rickrack that's sticking out is actually just going to grab this. So it holds everything nice and secure, and you can easily stitch that without needing any pins or additional clips. So this is the front of our pencil pouch, and we're going to be doing two pieces just like this. So once you get those done, then you're going to go ahead and stitch it together. I'm using my 1/4 inch presser foot here, and I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And just stitch down the front, make sure you backstitch at the beginning and the end. And then go ahead and repeat that process for the other side of the front piece. When we're done, we're going to give that a press, and we're going to do some top stitching. So just open up the trim, make sure your rickrack stays laying down. It should stay there nicely without needing to do anything extra. And then just give it a little press. Now I am going to add a layer of fusible fleece on the back side. Make sure the fusible side is facing up, and I'm going to just lay that right on top, and I'm going to press it down. I'm going to do this on the other side as well, and then I'm going to do a little bit of quilting. Again, you don't have to do that step. I like the fusible fleece because it adds stability to the pencil pouch, and it's not as loose as if you're just using regular fabric. If you don't want to do fusible fleece, you could add a different weight of stabilizer. I would recommend a medium weight, but I do love the texture of the fusible fleece. I love what it adds, and it makes the pouch a little bit more protective. That way, if you wanted to put a pair of eyeglasses in there, you could do that and know that they would be somewhat protected in there. Okay, so these are the two front pieces. They go like this, and then we're going to put the zipper in the middle after we do a little quilting. I'm just going to do some really simple straight line quilting here. I've got my quilting guide on my presser foot, and I'm just doing simple straight lines. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to do any quilting if you don't want to at all. I'm using a contrasting thread just because I thought that pop of the bright pink would be really fun. We're going to add the zipper next. Now this is the center, so we're going to put the zipper right in the middle. So you're going to sew with the right sides together. Now you can add your zipper pull before or after this step. I'm going to do it after. It doesn't matter, whatever works better for you. If you do it after, you do have to make sure things go on really straight and even. So sometimes people like to do it beforehand. It doesn't matter, whichever way you want to do it is fine. So I just took off my little quilting stitch guide, and I'm going to simply sew the zipper tape to the edge of the front piece. Now I'm just lining that up right along the edge. You can pin or clip if you want to. I just eyeball it to make sure everything lays nice and straight, and go ahead and stitch that in place. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the other side down. Again, right sides together. Make sure the green, the trim piece in the middle, is along that zipper edge. You're not sewing upside down. And go ahead and stitch that in place. Again, making sure that you back stitch at the beginning and the end. And then this is how we build out the front piece. Now it's time to add the lining pieces. These are the pieces that are 2.5 inches wide, so they're 8 by 2.5. And you're going to put that along that zipper edge. Again, your right side is down along the back side of the zipper. We're essentially making a zipper sandwich here with our lining pieces. Once you're done stitching, you're going to open that up, and you'll see that your zipper is then in the center between the side of the lining and the front. And now we're going to repeat that over on the other side. So fold that front piece back so that just your zipper edge is exposed, and put that lining right side down along that other edge of the zipper and stitch it in place. We're doing essentially the same thing, just over on the other side. Stitch that in place, and then when we open it up, you're going to see that we have a lining, a zipper, and the front. Now, if you want, when you press these open, you can press it with your iron. I just finger press it down just to make sure everything is laying nice and flat. If you need to iron it, go ahead. And then we're going to take this over to the sewing machine. We're just going to do some simple top stitching along that top edge of the zipper. That's going to hold everything down. It adds a little bit of a decorative stitch. It looks nice and neat when you're all done. Now, don't worry about the fact that the lining is sticking out a little bit from the front. It's a little bit bigger because the measurements also vary depending on the width of the zipper that you use. So because my zipper was a little bit wider and I didn't sew right up next to my zipper teeth, the lining looks a little bit too big. So we're just going to trim that down and not worry about it at all. You may have to trim some of the other pieces to make sure everything fits, because it's all going to depend on how you put it together and what size zipper you use. All right, so trim off those edges just to make sure your front and back are the same. Now we're going to measure out 10 inches of elastic. I'm using 1/2 inch wide elastic. You can use a quarter. You can use whatever you have on hand. It doesn't matter all that much. It's really personal preference. I think 1/2 inch, it's not too wide, but it's also not too thin. So you're going to take that, and before we go any further, we need to put our zipper pull on. We don't want to miss this step. So if you haven't done this already, go ahead and get that zipper pull added to the front of your pouch before we sew on the elastic. I gave up and had to grab my zipper jig because I could not get the pull on to save my life. We sell the zipper jigs on our website if you need one. They are a very handy tool, but this zipper was fighting me for whatever reason, and you want to make sure that this goes on nice and straight. If you get any frayed edges on the edge of your zipper tape, go ahead and use a lighter to melt them, because it's nylon, so it'll melt nicely, and sometimes it just works to pull the whole thing apart. The biggest part about this is you've got to get them into the zipper pull at the same, it's got to be the same. I don't even know how else to say that to you other than, like, you have to feel it when you're pulling down. This one was giving me grief, and I'm just letting you see that sometimes it just doesn't work the best, and then I ended up getting it on with my fingers anyway. So whatever way works best for you. But then we're going to go ahead and sew that elastic across where that zipper is at. So that's why you want to make sure that pull goes on. So go ahead, just stitch that zipper in, or that elastic in place right over the top and the bottom of the zipper. Make sure you pull that zipper pull out of your way, and then go ahead. I'm going to stitch the teeth shut just to keep them where I want them so they don't move when I'm sewing, and then add that elastic right over the top there. Make sure it's nice and centered, and then stitch that in place as well. Okay, next up, we are going to add the back lining. I did add fusible fleece to that as well. This is the piece that is 8 by 5. And go ahead and either clip or tuck or do something with that elastic just to kind of keep it down and out of your way. Next, we're going to add the back piece. Now, make sure your zipper is at least halfway open here. And we're going to go ahead and lay these right sides together and then sew all the way around the perimeter of the project. Make sure your elastic is in the middle so you don't get any extra elastic caught up in any of your stitches, and go all the way around the outside edge. Flip it over to the other side, and we're going to add the lining on. Now, when you're sewing the lining into place, you do need to make sure you leave an opening on one of the sides, at least 3 inches wide, so that you can turn everything right side out when we're all done, because now the zipper is completely enclosed, so we won't be able to use that for turning. So go ahead and stitch, like I said, most of the way around. Leave yourself a good 3-inch gap, maybe 4. You want to have room and be able to turn this in there right side out when you're all finished up. So go ahead and stitch. Don't forget to leave an opening. Once you're done stitching, go ahead and turn it right side out, and then you're just going to simply top stitch that hole closed right along the edge. I like to do like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance right here just to close up that opening. Make sure all your raw edges are tucked down inside, and you just stitch that shut. When you're done, flip it around and make sure the entire right side is out. The pretty is on the outside, your lining fabric is inside on the lining. And now you're ready to attach this to your notebook. You just simply slide the elastic over your journal or your notebook, and then tuck whatever you want inside that pouch. This is just so great because it holds everything neatly. It's cute, it's functional. You can put a lot of stuff in here, and honestly, if you want to make it a different size, it's really easy to adjust and make it whatever size you need. All right, wasn't that just so much fun to make and easy, right? I love to make these for different holidays using holiday themed fabric. They make great Christmas gifts. They make great teacher gifts. Oh, anything. So I've got, these are all the things that I have in this little pouch. I've got 2 pens, my AirPods. I've got, of course, we gotta have the chocolate, and my must have, the chapstick. But you can see inside out, it's just so cute. So now I think it needs a tote bag. So here's my challenge for you. Go watch this next video on how to make this really cute hexie tote bag, but you don't have to use Halloween fabric like I did in the demo here. Use matching fabric to match your journal and your journal pouch.